Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the HB Studio Podcast with Tim and Kristin, episode 21. In this episode, we're going to talk about a tea bag philosophy, so to say. So Kristin has a routine that she utilizes to, kind of decompress after a long day. And it entails having a cup of tea, and this cup of tea has some words of wisdom, so to say. So we're going to take these words and apply our own situation to it, so we can give you guys a great episode to check out. Now, this tea bag is dealing with a quote here that I'm going to read for you. A tiny impatience destroys a great plan. Now, think about that and check out what we have to say about it. Thanks for listening to the HB Studio Podcast with Tim and Kristin. Enjoy.
Okay.
This is why we have these conversations.
Tim.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to put you on the spot here today.
Oh, gosh.
Because I feel like sometimes we get motivation from places where we least expect it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I ever told you the story of when I had a particularly rough season of life. And I was just doing some things to decompress at night, just trying to wind it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And one of those little rituals that I ended up doing was I poured myself a cup of hot tea. And so this one day I had about all I could take. And I decided that I needed to make this tea, turn my brain off, just not think about much more. Mm-hmm. And I opened up the tea bag, and you know those little tags that are on tea?
Yeah.
They're like Yoda in a tea bag, like the little
little quotes.
Yeah, quotes. Yeah. Sometimes a nugget of wisdom, other times just things that make you think entirely too much. Well, that's what happened to me when I opened up this one tea bag. Uh-oh. And you know what I ended up doing was whatever it said, whatever the tea bag said that day, I ended up writing a whole entire talk around. And so I went into an audience of people, a few months after I had done that. And I talked to an entire state group on the wisdom of the tea bag.
Interesting.
So that was just one time that it happened.
Huh.
And so I was thinking about what you and I do and some of the topics we cover. And I brought this little tea bag,
look at here,
unopened, that I want to open up. I'm going to rip it open, and then I'm going to read to you what the tag said.
Nice.
Okay. Here we go. This is ad lib at its finest.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is good. Ready?
Okay. Oish.
And the wisdom of the tea bag is: a tiny impatience destroys a great plan.
If that didn't hit you in the gut.
A tiny impatience destroys a great plan. Is that haste makes waste?
Oh my gosh. How long are we recording?
I know.
Wow. Yes. Haste makes waste.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the not correlation,
it's the
but
cousin.
the association. Yeah, the cousin.
The cousin of a tiny impatience destroys a great plan.
Interesting.
What comes to your mind when you hear that?
A lot of
tea bag nugget.
I'm thinking directly. I'm thinking school, like not teaching, but when I was in school.
That's interesting that you say that, because you know what it does to me, and I couldn't craft a story around this. But when I hear that, immediately I go to building. Like building something.
Interesting.
Like a building, literally.
Like an
architectural building.
Okay.
Something that is large and that the details are everything. Okay, tell me about school.
Interesting. So, my impatience destroyed my my great plan because I wasn't patient enough to apply myself.
Oh, yeah.
In school. Yeah. I had this false sense of security, so to say. I was an athlete in school. School was easy for me. Like I can like skip some of the homework but still crush the test kind of situation. And it created bad habits.
Gosh.
It created bad habits. So instead of me getting a full ride, yada yada yada, I was gonna go in the Navy regardless. But it kind of hampered my effort. So I had to work a little extra harder when I was in the Navy to, get a kind of like a start with junior college, that type of situation. But yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that.
Do you want to know something?
Go for it.
So I have a 9-year-old son.
Oh.
Who is academically gifted.
Here we go. Mom knowledge.
Guess what just happened? Okay.
Oh, snap.
So this is so relatable.
Ah.
My son is effortlessly smart with things. Now, he's too young to really tell, but he was getting grades back. We get all of their grades.
Right.
So, hey, if any kids are listening to this, parents know what grades you're getting. They come digitally, guys.
Yeah.
You can't hide the test under the cushion of the couch anymore.
Oh,
those days are done. Those days are over.
Darn.
I know. Well, so I saw these grades coming in, and they weren't good. 60s, 70s on homework and classwork.
Oh, wow.
For my son. And so this one day, he came home from school, and I had just gotten the litany of scores that I was not very pleased with. And peppered in there were some good ones. And he handed, or I said, hey, I'm seeing these scores come in. What's happening? And he said, oh, yeah, I know, Mom, but I want to show you something else. I think this will make you feel better. So he hands me these printed scores from the national, what is it? The national aptitude testing, the national, whatever that is. But I mean, it's government-based testing that every kid has to take.
Right.
And he handed me the reports, and he was off the charts.
Really?
Yes. Now, as happy as I wanted to be like, oh, good job. You know what I did?
What?
I ripped it up in front of him. I ripped up all the pages, and I said, that makes me angry. That makes me angry. You know why? Because these test scores show me that you have the intelligence in that head. But these homework and classwork scores show me that you're lazy. You are making bad habits because you're acing tests and you're failing the actual work. That's not the way life works. And as backwards as that seemed to be shredding his great grades.
You know your kids.
Well, and also I think what you just told me confirmed that wasn't a horrible decision.
Absolutely not. Not
so
at
that's
all.
what happened to you.
This is crazy. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, both my parents were teachers, right? So it pissed them off.
I'm sure it did.
It did.
I had a little rage when I was tearing those papers up.
Like you're literally telling me. I mean, of course, they don't associate the two, but you're literally telling me that you're capable, but you're choosing not to.
Yes.
HB Studio Podcast is brought to you by the historic Roy Hill in Clemens, North Carolina. The opinions and thoughts presented on this podcast are that of Kristin, Tim, and their guests alone. Our goal is to bring positive motivation through real-life experiences and training as business professionals. Thank you for listening.